So now you've got all your individual questions from your children and maybe some from yourself if you think that that's helpful. I try to avoid doing that because generally I find that the children have amazing ideas and interesting questions, much more interesting than I ever would come up with myself. Then you're going to move on to sorting those questions. So that's helpful to have their questions printed out or written out on some strips of paper or some card. If they're old enough to do that themselves, they bring their question. We mix them all together and hand them back out to people so that, and you can help them read them out so that everybody's got a question that's not necessarily their own and preferably not their own when we come to do our sorting and mapping. I use some hoops to help constrain that visual area, and we sit in a really big circle and we take turns to read our question and put it into one of the hoops. Now when we start, those hoops, I've just got a stack of them really, and the children come and get one when they think that there's a new category to start, and we have some ongoing discussion about what the categories are that are emerging or the possible categories, and then we just write some category labels and put them also beside the hoop or at the top of the hoop. When you've done all of that and you've got it into categories and you've had some discussion and maybe you've got a couple of questions that you don't know quite where they fit and so they're still off to the side ready to be discussed, you follow that through that whole process. That is the perfect time to start talking about open and closed questions. Now, if you haven't introduced that idea before, that's really great to do in some of your literacy time so that you're asking questions and answering questions around a known text or a shared book or something similar, and you can introduce that idea of open and closed questions. Really important to give children lots and lots of opportunities to make sense of deciding what is an open or a closed question themselves, or some people call them fat and skinny questions, and as you will know, we're looking for those open questions that are worthy of spending time and attention on in our precious classroom time. So I deal with the closed questions by saying, can we answer it in one or two sentences or very simply without having to spend a lot of time on it? And then can anybody in the room answer that question? And most often those closed questions are the ones that the children can readily answer themselves. So we answer them, make a note of what those answers are, and then we're left with the open questions to discuss. That's when we bring all those open questions together. We look at where most people's interest is, and then we have a very quick voting system that we decide on our shared question in the most democratic way that we can. And that will be in the next video.